I'm pleased and excited to be back with the extremely classy man of leisure. He's a Navy veteran. He's the founder of the Xingle Company, Patrick Reveron. Welcome back to the show. It's a beautiful day where you are there.
Thank you, Jason. Yeah, down here in Florida, it was 38 degrees the other day, but now it's 77, not a cloud in the sky, nice breeze. So,
Golden sunlight kissing your face right there. I hope you had a very good Veterans Day. Everybody knows, Patrick, that you are a Navy veteran. People can follow you at CEO Single on X. You've been doing a lot of great reporting on a lot of things: Jeffrey Epstein, government contracts, curious things like drones in New Jersey, and perhaps the plumber who is operating those drones. And we're back with more Epstein files. You know, everybody, including me, wanted to see these Epstein files. I don't know. Is this? I haven't been through this thoroughly, to be completely open about it. But it does seem like the Oversight Committee has released additional Epstein documents. I don't know. Are these the Epstein files? Will people ever be satisfied that we'll see the Epstein files?
yeah, no, I think it's just the Democrats giving, the disillusioned crowd their pound of flesh. Um, I read through a lot of them. I think the person that's most implicated is Michael Wolff,
Hmm.
Jeffrey Epstein's biographer, um, because the way that he was talking was almost like this puppet master extortionist, trying to get Jeffrey Epstein to implicate Trump somehow before the election. I also saw Peter Thiel in there. He Jeffrey Epstein sent an email to him saying that was fun. I'll see you again in 3 weeks. So still, I think you and I talked about it a little bit, Jason, that there's still no smoking gun on Trump, and the Democratic Party, I think, is they're going into this tailspin trying to get Trump on this Epstein stuff, but I mean, there's still no smoking gun that I've seen.
Right. And listen, to be fair, obviously Epstein was a scumbag, etc. I don't even like Peter Thiel, but somebody sending an email that said, oh, that was fun, see you next week. They could have played racquetball. Like that's like a pretty
That's true.
innocuous
Yeah.
email. We can't jump to the conclusion that somebody we don't like did something because of an email like that. Frankly, it's un-American to do that. A lot of people, you jump to all kinds of conclusions about all kinds of things. I also want to mention we're going to be doing our usual sponsor exclusive show. People who aren't yet sponsoring Patrick on Substack.com at Single Company, and Single Company is spelled with an X, INGLE company. Get on there, sponsor Patrick. Of course, you'll be able to see it. Also on the Crowdsource the Truth sponsorship channels, crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com, subscribestar.com, and patreon.com/crowdsource the truth. And I know, Patrick, we want to talk today. This is an interesting subject, this concept of Jeffrey Epstein as a weapon. I sort of took it to mean as a political weapon, but I don't know if you can see what I've got there in the background behind him. It's a Stinger, man pad
Oh,
shoulder launched
yeah.
missile. And, in addition to this new information drop on Jeffrey Epstein, we've been hearing about some new information that's coming out about the FBI's failure to investigate Hillary Clinton and her use of a private email server. It was an
Yep.
amazing, I don't know what we would even call it. It's amazing to observe from the standpoint of an information operation how Hillary Clinton and her cronies were able to hide that insane crime. You, Patrick, were a serviceman active on the USS Carl Vinson, hanging around all kinds of, classified and super important United States military technology. If you took a selfie and texted it to your girlfriend in the wrong place on that ship, you'd be thrown in jail, much less running your own internet server with your own email
Yeah.
website and all that. It's crazy. Talk about that for a second before, because it's going to tie into Epstein.
Yeah. So, when Hillary Clinton, I believe, this is when she was Secretary of State and the whole Benghazi Gate and everything. It's like when you work for the federal government, especially when you're handling emails, you have to have what's called a SIPR token, SIPR. That requires a TSSCI clearance. Multiple IT departments and cybersecurity departments have to clear you in order to use that server known as SIPR. And what Hillary Clinton did is she circumvented it when she was Secretary of State. Um, that's what it seems like, anyways. I think 46,000 emails. Um, y-
Oh,
and
no,
Roger
no,
Stone is public.
Patrick, excuse me. It's much more than that. They had said 33,000, the magic number. But what's come out now is that there was that email. So it's, what's that woman's name? Halligan? Halligan,
Oh,
the
Lindsay
U.S.
Halligan?
attorney. Lindsay Halligan,
Yeah.
right. Wow.
Yeah.
I could use
Yeah.
an attorney like that. But setting that aside, I don't mean to diminish her simply because she's beautiful. She brought forward information that there were 600,000 Hillary Clinton emails on the Anthony Weiner laptop. The number 33,000 emails, that was the number that was associated with the emails that Peter Smith was trying to transmit to Charles Ortel. That's a bit of a separate story where I allege that was an information operation against Charles, Roger Stone, Jerome Corsi. They wanted everybody to think that it was a small number of emails to kind of distract away from these 600,000. But this SIPRnet that you're talking about, this is an incredibly secure thing so that they can know exactly who is logging in, right? Like, people don't realize the big deal of circumventing all this.
Yeah, and that's exactly what Hillary Clinton and her State Department did. Anthony Blinken was working under her, and you know, she was probably the greatest national security risk that we have seen in a very long time. And hold on, Jason. Sorry, 1 second. My
No problem.
audio just cut out. She's definitely the greatest national security risk that we've had in the executive branch of government. And that's what it seems like to me. I don't know all the facts, but it definitely seems to me that she circumvented, having access to this SIPR network, and that she
Wow.
wasn't properly cleared to do so.
So that's an interesting wrinkle that I didn't even know. I think I have heard of this SIPRnet before, this secret internet protocol router network. It's a system of interconnected computer networks used by the Department of Defense and the Department of State. So, wow, I didn't realize that she was completely circumventing this. And the reason why I want to bring this up is because we still don't really know what was in all these 600,000 emails. And, part of my process that's very unconventional that I really like is that when I have a co-host and a guest like you, I just say, hey, Patrick, what do you want the show to be about? And you generally just give me like a vague idea or a title, because I'm really just asking like, hey, what do we want to make this flashy graphic about? And of course, I'm using AI and other things, but I'm the one prompting it, and I put in this Stinger missile. Now,
Jason, I don't know if you can hear me.
I can hear you.
But I am
I can hear
having
you.
issues here with my
I can
audio.
hear you. I can hear you. Can you hear me, Patrick? Have you got me? I've got you. I've got
Sorry,
you.
I apologize, everybody.
No problem. No problem. This is interesting, so we're going to wait for you. Patrick's getting his audio online. Don't forget, people can follow his investigations and his work on Substack.com at Xingle Company, and you can follow him on X at CEO Xingle. Have we got you back, Patrick?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, absolutely. So what I was just saying is that part of my unconventional process that I really enjoy is that when I invite a guest like you on and I say, what do you want the show to be about? I'm not just asking you to prompt a clever AI graphic. The process of making the graphics often leads me to these unusual kind of eureka moments. And by adding in this Stinger missile, it occurred to me that you've told us, and other people have spoken about the fact that Jeffrey Epstein was really involved with Robert Maxwell. Jeffrey Epstein was really involved with moving weapons around, Adnan Khashoggi, all kinds of stuff. And I have separately interacted with Felix Sater, who was very involved in tracking these individual at-risk missiles that were originally disseminated to the Mujahideen in Afghanistan, and that was under Bill Clinton. Now, we remember during Benghazi, a lot of terrible things happened, but it was Ambassador Stevens who was killed. And we really don't know what he knew about what was going on, but what can we determine, between Jeffrey Epstein, the Stinger missiles, the attacks in Benghazi, Hillary Clinton's feeling that it doesn't matter anymore? Is this all connected, Patrick?
Absolutely. And, the Clinton family, the Clinton crime family, they have over 50 people that have mysteriously died, not of, any sort of natural causes. It's all been plane crashes, car accidents, suicides, all of these different things. It is to cover up. And I know we've talked about this before, Jason, but like Mena, Arkansas in the 1980s, we know CIA and NSA and the DEA, their intelligence apparatus. Bill Clinton was governor. They were running all these drugs out of Mena, Arkansas. They were training the Contras, and that really just morphed into Iran-Contra. And the whole prosecution for Iran-Contra centered around Adnan Khashoggi, Mark Rich, Oliver North was the fall guy, obviously. But then from Iran-Contra, who was presiding over that was Bill Barr. Bill Barr's father, like we know, when he was head of the Dalton School, he was working for CIA at the time. It was OSS. Bill Barr worked for CIA. But Bill Barr, the prosecutor for Iran-Contra, his father hired Jeffrey Epstein at the Dalton School in New York in the 1970s as his first job as a 20-year-old with no college degree teaching physics to high schoolers. Bill Barr's father also wrote this weird science fiction novel about intergalactic sex trafficking. The whole thing stinks. And the fact that, Trump picked Barr to be his AG in 2019 during his first term, and while Bill Barr's AG prosecuting Jeffrey Epstein dies in the Department of Justice Bureau of Prisons, in their custody. So I think that the Clinton, Mark Rich, Epstein, Khashoggi, Maxwell criminal enterprise that spans multiple countries and multiple continents has shown that they are not afraid to kill the people who will blow the lid on their vast network of influence and blackmail, and that's just the lengths that they are willing to go to cover up their crimes.
You're absolutely right. Just to correct one thing, Bill Barr wasn't the prosecutor on Iran-Contra. Lawrence Walsh was the special counsel, but Bill Barr was he was outside counsel to the CIA. And he was very involved in Iran-Contra. He had, I think, Robert Johnson was his code name. He definitely seems to be covering up a lot of things for Bill Barr, for Iran-Contra. And it is just incredibly crazy that Epstein allegedly died in jail. I mean, Patrick, I'm asking your opinion here, obviously, so your opinion is what it is. But, I mean, is it... We'll never know, right? I mean, aren't they covering up? See, if I say this, people say, oh, you're defending Trump or you're defending Israel. It's my personal opinion, and I'm not going to ask you. You tell me yours after I tell you mine. It's my personal opinion that we're never going to know the true story of Jeffrey Epstein, because it's the kind of thing where they take Trump into a room and they say, all right, we got to explain this to you. Yeah. Iran-Contra, we did this, we did this, we did this, we did this, that. And if you start pulling on this thread, the entire U.S. government would be exposed as such a vast criminal operation. It's like finding out your wife is cheating on you. The marriage is not going to survive. And perhaps Trump has made the decision that, you know what, this is in the past. We got to keep it buried. Let's just move forward and not talk about it. Doesn't that seem more like it?
Yeah. That's what Occam's razor has led me to, is that, yes, Trump is acting very guilty, as a lot of people rightfully assume. However, if he was guilty, I mean, we would have seen something. We would have seen something in 2017. We would have seen something in 2021. We would have seen something in 2024. but we have yet to see anything. No smoking gun. And you know, if I were in his position, as far as being the president and all of this stuff, 9/11 is rearing its ugly head again, the Epstein Files, January 6th, COVID, all these different conspiracies. I would want to keep pushing through as well, just to make sure that, we don't have an economic crash combining 1921 and 2008 on our hands, because that is looming. But that's another time. But yeah, he's in an impossible position. Um, he either acts guilty and keeps pushing the country through, or he falsely admits guilt, and we expose all this statecraft and USAID, CIA, NSA bullshit. So
But when you say he acts guilty, I think most people, particularly people who dislike Trump, presume that he's guilty of doing unspeakable things with children through Jeffrey Epstein.
yeah,
And, your idea, the title was inspired by your idea today that Epstein is a political weapon. That certainly seems clear. I've seen just from my own exposure to social engineering that what people who are truly skilled at doing it try to do is to take whatever situation the target is in and make it that you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. And this is
yeah,
sort of, it's like anything, Patrick. If you spend your time trying to make nuclear reactors work well on the USS Carl Vinson, you're going to get good at that. If you spend your time trying to make 3D movies, it's funny, I always come back to my experience on film sets, because the ingenuity that you see
yeah,
and the things that get invented, like from a grip truck and some gaffer tape, are amazing. But I mean, people who focus their time on these social engineering operations just get really good at coming up with tricks. And if you're Trump, and if you know that, aha, Trump can't reveal the truth about Epstein because of whatever complicated reasons we're talking about. We don't want our foreign enemies to know about what the United States has done with regard to Iran-Contra and how we armed the Mujahideen and how that ties into 9/11, as you say. I mean, we refer to these things as conspiracy theories. It has the perhaps unwanted effect of making them seem not real or unimportant, but 9/11 was a conspiracy. The mainstream story tells us 19
yeah,
guys conspired to crash planes. A lot of people think Israel did the whole thing. I personally think the United States government, intelligence agencies, and operators from many different countries did the whole thing, including Dick Cheney, who thankfully now is dead,
yeah,
and other
yeah,
people like that. But it's a complicated thing to unravel. And so if they know Trump can't say anything, I think this is what you meant by Epstein becoming a political weapon, in that Trump's enemies know that they now can flog him left and right with this Epstein stuff, and there's essentially nothing Trump can do.
yeah, absolutely. And what I've been I always go back to Eric Weinstein, the theoretical physicist, podcaster, really smart guy. He met Epstein, but he said on Chris Williams' podcast, he said, um, the guy is a construct. And I didn't really take stock of when he said that at the time, but I went back to that the other day, and I was like, you know what? He really is a construct. He is like this Frankenstein of everything that you would want, as far as a government or an intelligence apparatus. Um, Everything that you would want in an economic hitman. He has the capability and the network for blackmail. He's well connected to billionaires. He's well connected to Hollywood, the music industry, Wall Street, New York real estate, hence Trump, the executive branch of Washington, D.C. He has his claws in all of these different facets of the world, all of these different, mechanisms, which makes him, well, that's why I call him a weapon, because he can take down anything and keep anything afloat. And I believe, just based on all my research over the last 6 months and all the conversations that we've had, is like Robert Maxwell was Dr. Frankenstein, and Jeffrey Epstein is Frankenstein's monster. You know, he seems to be this lab grown economic hitman. They injected him with blackmail, with money laundering, with arms trafficking, all of these different elements that would make him a perfect weapon to commit coups, to commit blackmail, to influence elections, political assassinations. And he also seems to be at the center of all of these different mechanisms, whether his time at Bear Stearns, um, uh, you know, his going into the building of J.P. Morgan Chase, having all of these people on his plane, Harvard scientists, MIT researchers, Bill Gates. Uh, so whether it's technology, finance, government, entertainment, science, he has all of his claws in every single one of these sectors, even law, with Alan Dershowitz.
Right.
So to have all of his bases covered like that and to be this nobody from Brooklyn with no college degree and
Yeah.
no economics degree, no financial experience other than the positions that were gifted to him. I'm like, yeah, this guy is a construct. He is a construct of the blob, as somebody we talked about calls it, the deep state. He is like their super weapon, their sleeper cell, whatever their pederast James Bond, whatever you want to call him. That's what I think Epstein was. I think that he is this construct of all of these different powerful elements trying to preserve their interests.
The other thing that Eric Weinstein once said about Epstein was that it was widely known in the academic and research community that if you were working on something truly innovative that couldn't be funded in the mainstream, Epstein was your go-to guy. So
Yeah.
just like they use all these, cutouts, you mentioned Adnan Khashoggi, and when we get over to our sponsor exclusive segment, people are going to be able to join us for that on substack.com/Xingle Company and also on crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com, subscribestar.com, and patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. I want to get a little bit more into Adnan Khashoggi because I think a lot of people feel like, Iran-Contra ended, but I had a little light bulb go off over my head when we saw this email released by Lindsay Halligan about the 600,000 Hillary Clinton emails on Anthony Weiner's laptop. I don't know if Lindsay Halligan will or will not. I don't know, and I'm not singling her out with an X. I'm just saying I don't know if anyone would be able or allowed to get into this stuff. There's been a sort of a tempest in a teapot controversy about my former associate, John Cullen, allegedly being missing. And I think a lot of social engineers are trying to make it seem like he's been kidnapped or he must have been on to something. I don't really see any evidence of that. But somebody like Lindsay Halligan, if she were to actually be about to prosecute someone who could reveal something that the CIA doesn't want revealed, and I certainly hope this doesn't happen, but I do believe that is the type of person who could be subject to the types of things that we hear about, like lawyers disappearing and Boeing whistleblowers. I don't think they go around killing and kidnapping podcasters because they make speculative statements about things that maybe 10,000 or 100,000 people see. I think maybe, I don't know if I've said this to you before, but it's my opinion that there's sort of a matrix in these secret operations where if they're about to kill John F. Kennedy and you know it and you're about to reveal, they'll kill you. But if 25 years later you reveal something about it, they'll find some other way to disrupt you. So I want to get into some more of how Epstein ties to Iran-Contra and how some of this stuff with Hillary Clinton's email. I mean, Iran-Contra seems to have such a long tail that revelations from Lindsay Halligan are making me realize that Benghazi is likely linked to Iran-Contra and the same Stinger missiles and all that sort of stuff. But we've got just about a minute before we head over there, Patrick. Anything else you want to say to our wider audience here before we do that?
Yeah, just keep digging, everybody. If you guys want me to look at anything, you have any threads that I can pull, just shoot me a DM, comment on one of my posts. But just do not stop. until we have full disclosure on Epstein, 9/11, Iran-Contra, because the truth needs to come out. So.
Yeah, and you also mentioned Alan Dershowitz. That was, I think, an important guy to mention. I want to talk on the other side about Tucker Carlson and his podcast that dropped this morning about Thomas Crooks.
I saw.
And get into a little detail about the Tucker Carlson, Alan Dershowitz connection. And so we'll be right back, everybody. Stay with us. Don't forget to join us for the sponsor exclusive segment coming up right after this. And we'll see everybody over there. Thanks for watching.